This video is for you people out there that consider yourself lazy but ambitious. I used to be in that boat. I used to call myself lazy and ambitious, and I certainly wish I had this video to help me get through this part of my life. This will truly transform your life if you are the person that thinks you're lazy but ambitious. This will be about a 15 to 20 minute long video. If you can't sit through a 20-minute YouTube video that is going to change your life, then there's no point in even trying. That being said, let's get into the video. I see this a lot. Lazy but ambitious. There's a lot of people that hear this and they go, yeah, that's me. I'm really ambitious, but I'm just kind of lazy. You know what that makes you? That makes you every single other person in the entire world. You're not special because you're lazy but ambitious. You're just like everyone else. Everyone has ambitions. Everyone wants to be something more than they are. But there's only few people that are actually willing to take action to become that person. You're not special because you think you're lazy but ambitious. You're just like everyone else. If you want to make a difference, you have to stop being like everyone else. This doesn't make you special. I really just want to make that clear at the very start of this video. I'm going to show you how to not be every single other person, but please don't think you're special because you're in this bucket. You're just like everyone else. So, first of all, Messi wants to be this best soccer player ever. You know who else wants that? Probably a million other people in the world, okay? Do you think Messi, right? He believes he wants to be the best soccer player in the world. Messi's not the only person who wants this, right? There's a whole lot of other people who want to be this, okay? You could replace Messi with Michael Jordan, or if you're a Ronaldo fan, you could say Ronaldo, or you could say Tom Brady, whatever you want. There's a lot of people that want to be the best, okay? There's a lot of damn people, but there's only a few people who can be the best. At the end of the day, what separates the best from everyone else is the action, okay? There's nothing but the action to separate these people from these people. We don't want to be these people, okay? This is everyone. Everyone wants to be the best. They want to be great, but they don't want to do this. They don't want to take the damn action, okay? But at the end of the day, the only reason that Messi is better than you can't even... The reason I like Messi as an example is you can't even blame genetics. Messi is like a 5'7" goblin. Like, he's tiny, okay? This guy isn't some genetic freak, okay? If anything, he's genetically at a disadvantage. I bet you most people watching this video have better genetics than Messi, okay? So it's probably not genetics. It's probably something else. It's probably the damn action that Messi took, right, for the last 20 plus years to become the greatest of all time. I don't know, maybe that's controversial, but he probably is. I thought I was a Ronaldo fan as well, but come on. What is lazy? Like, we didn't understand this. Like, what do we actually mean by lazy? Okay. Fundamentally, lazy is just not taking action that you know will move you towards your goals. That is all a lazy person is. And when you look at laziness like this, you're like, damn, this is just basically everyone. Okay? This is basically every single person. Most people, especially when they're watching informational content on YouTube, they're trying to find this golden nugget. They're trying to find this piece of information that's going to change their life. The truth is, they probably know what they have to do, but they're just not doing it, okay? It's not like you're going to hear one thing and everything is going to change. At the end of the day, it's probably that you're not taking the action that you know will move you towards your goals. You know this is going to move you towards your goals, but you're not doing it, right? And that is what I would define as lazy. So why are you lazy? There's a reason that you're lazy, okay? You're not just born lazy. I don't think that's the case, right? I certainly am default. I'm not like a super motivated person, okay? I certainly haven't always been a motivated person. I would have considered myself at one point lazy. So, what makes us lazy? Okay? Now, I want to use the example of the rat in the cage experiment. There's a lot of rat in the cage experiments. So what's this one? They did an experiment on mice where they would sever part of the rat's brain so that it would not produce dopamine. So this rat effectively produced zero dopamine. Now, what happened is the rat wouldn't want to do anything. The rat, you would say, was incredibly lazy. In fact, the rat was so lazy, if a scientist placed food on the other side of the cage, the rat wouldn't even cross the cage to eat the food. If the scientist did not hand feed the rats food, these rats would die. They would literally die of starvation, okay? They were so lazy, right, that they wouldn't even eat. They would just die of starvation because they didn't want to walk 20 centimeters, right, to get their food, okay? That was because they had zero dopamine. I bet you a lot of us have done some serious damage to our dopamine. And let me explain to you how we've done that. So, we have a baseline level of dopamine. This is our normal dopamine levels. So on a day-to-day basis, you have this tonic dopamine level, just a normal amount that gets released. The issue is, in modern society, we have so many ways of stimulating dopamine, so many ways of getting a huge spike of dopamine without requiring much effort at all, that we can just jack this up like crazy. So like if you start the day and you're instantly on social media scrolling, you're going to get a big hit of dopamine, okay? And then you're at breakfast watching the news, another hit of dopamine, okay? And then you're, playing video games on the train on the way to work or way to school. And then you get home from a long day of work and you watch some Netflix because it's been such a hard day, okay? You've artificially stimulated your dopamine like crazy there. Just an insane amount of dopamine, okay? What happens if you do that enough, aka like most people doing it every day for years, although it doesn't take years, it probably takes weeks, is that your brain is going to go, you're producing way too much dopamine. This is out of the ordinary. This is abnormal. Like a brain should do, I need to regulate this so it's normal again. So what it does is it decreases that tonic, that normal baseline level of dopamine so that when you predictably wake up and scroll and then just scroll, watch TV, eat junk food, play video games, whatever you're doing, this is now in the normal range. And now your brain's like, okay, cool. You're releasing like a normal amount of dopamine. Obviously, weird trajectories. You're getting huge spikes and huge crashes, but at least it's normal. The problem is, now it's very, very hard for you to do anything that is not these hyper-stimulating activities. Because when you're trying to work on your business, man, that doesn't produce much dopamine at all. And because your baseline is so low, that's like watching paint dry for the average person. Not the average person is the average person, because the average person is doing this, but like the average human being's dopamine levels. This would be like watching paint dry, okay? Same with working out. It's just terrible. Like, comparatively, this is shocking. The problem is, when you're feeling amazing, when you're doing these compulsive activities, you're reinforcing your brain to want to do more because you feel really good when you do these compulsive activities. So you're associating feeling good with compulsive behavior. So what happens is you're conditioning your brain to just want to do more and more and more of that. And when you feel like shit when you're working, and when you feel like shit when you're exercising, your brain is going to be like, when exercise, feel like shit. When work, feel like shit. Therefore, work is shit, and exercise is shit. When scroll TikTok, feel great. Therefore, scroll TikTok, great, right? Your brain is not this, it's incredibly complicated, but it's kind of primitive at the same time, okay? It's just going to associate good and bad. And this is certainly going to be associated with bad compared to getting incredible spikes of dopamine from just this compulsive activity all day. So this is why you're lazy, because you're the rat with zero dopamine. You have no dopamine to do anything productive because you've wasted it all on doing compulsive activities. The way we solve this is we need to actually remove these compulsive activities. Because what happens when you remove these compulsive activities is that your brain goes, well, this guy has incredibly low dopamine levels, and your brain will do what it likes to do, which is it's going to regulate, and it's going to go, okay, we need to bring your dopamine up for everything. Now that your dopamine's up for everything, now suddenly working out or working on your business is no longer like watching paint dry. Okay? Working out is no longer like watching paint dry. And now that this stuff starts to feel good, you're going to start to associate working hard with feeling good, right? That's a lot better than associating working out and working hard like feeling like shit, okay? But that's why you're lazy, and that's what you got to do about it. By the way, if you're a digital entrepreneur and you would like help eliminating those big dopamine spikes so that you have more time, you have more focus, and you have more attention to allocate to growing yourself and your business, then there is a link in the description below, and I'll be able to help you out. Otherwise, let's keep enjoying the video. The next problem, okay, and this happens from the scrolling, because when you're scrolling, you're going to be exposing your brain to so much of this shit, is that you see such a false reality. Like, the amount of nonsense you see on the internet is unbelievable. How many 19-year-olds have you seen driving Lambos? You're going to start to think that's normal. And then you're going to start to go, well, hold on, that's like a $300,000 car. This guy's 19 years old, so I'm a complete failure, and I should be making like, $5 million a year at this point. I suck. I hate myself. And what happens is that when people come along and say, you can make $10,000 per month in 30 days and you have absolutely zero experience in business at all, is you think, well, there's a 17-year-old or there's a 19-year-old kid with a Lambo, so this is realistic, I should do this. And then what happens is the 30 days roll around, and then what? Well, you're probably going to quit because you're like, well, not only have I've not made $10,000, but I've made $0 and I paid $1,000 for this course, so I'm in the red. And you're going to feel terrible. Because the reality is, this 19-year-old with a Lambo is leasing it for $4,000 a month, and he's splitting that expense with 3 other people, so he probably needs to make like $1,300 a month to get this. He doesn't have $200,000 cash to spend on a Lambo. This person telling you to make $10,000 a month is only really making a lot of money because they're selling you how to do this. And all you're going to want to do is quit. You're like, damn, this sucks. This is impossible. I'm going to quit, because you have false expectations and you have a false reality, okay? And you're going to quit and you're going to say you're lazy. And it's because you have unrealistic expectations and your ambitions are out of line. So there's a pretty funny quote, not a funny quote, but it's a very true quote from Naval Ravikant. And that is, there are no get-rich-quick schemes. There's just someone getting rich off you. And I really like that quote. I think it's very relevant, because this kind of offer, realistically, people can do that, okay? But if you have zero experience, that's going to be very difficult. That's going to be a very, very challenging thing to do. That's very, very unlikely, okay? And that's for this reason. You shouldn't be looking at people's age. You should be looking at their entrepreneurial age, okay? When you see that 19-year-old with a Lambo, what you don't know is that he was, doing social media marketing from age 12, okay? So he's 7 years old in terms of his entrepreneurial age. And then you, who's literally a fetus with 0 days of experience, let alone 0 years of experience, this is very hard. But for someone who's had, 7 years of entrepreneurial experience, this might seem realistic. So yes, this can be done, but you have to take into consideration what you have. And it's important, because if your ambitions aren't aligned with reality, then you're going to get disheartened and you're going to end up quitting. So look at someone's entrepreneurial age. Don't just look at their actual age. And if you said, okay, well, this person has been an entrepreneur for 7 years, it's probably unlikely that if I was an entrepreneur for 7 years and I started all over again, that I wouldn't be able to make $10,000 a month in 10 days. But if I am a fetus, if I have zero experience, it's probably going to be hard and I have to maintain my expectations. Anyway, so what is the solution for you to stop being lazy? Okay? Because you've identified yourself as lazy and ambitious, aka you've identified yourself as every other person in the entire world. So how can you become not like every other person in the world? How can you become like these people here rather than these people here? This is how you got to do it, okay? You need to think about your time, your attention, and your energy like a tap, okay? It's like a tap that's flowing down. And these are all finite resources. Every single one of these is a finite resource. You only have so much energy in the day. You can only allocate your attention to so many things, and you only have so many hours in the day. Every single person has 24 hours, okay? It's what you do with it that matters. So if you saw the pipe like this would make sense to you. Your pipe is either going to flow from your time, your attention, your energy is either going to flow into your distractions, which is things like scrolling, things like binge watching, things like gaming, things like current affairs, things like junk food, or it's going to flow into your goal, which is things like working, things like exercising, things like eating clean. And as a result of where you allocate your time, your attention, your energy, you're either, if you allocate it to distractions, you're going to get no progress, you're going to get low dopamine, just like this rat here, okay? You're going to have low energy. So though energy is a finite resource, you can technically increase your energy. So I guess it's not finite in that you can improve it, but you're going to have low energy. You're going to have lost time. You're going to lose time. You're going to be impulsive. You're going to be short-sighted, think about immediate wins that are going to negatively affect you in the long run, but feel good in the short term. And you're going to be lazy. That is a consequence of allocating your time, attention, and energy into scrolling, binge watching, gaming, all the distractions, okay? And for most of us, it looks something like this. Okay, this is what our pipes look like. We have a lot of water, we have a lot of time, attention, energy flowing into our distractions. And as a result, we're getting a huge amount going into not progressing, having low dopamine, having low energy levels and losing your time. And we have very little flowing into actually working towards your goals. And as a result, your progress is going to suffer. So your progress is going to suffer. You can have low dopamine, low energy, all this stuff. What we want to do is the complete opposite of that. We want to have as little of our time, attention, energy flowing into our distractions as possible, and as much of our attention, time, and energy flowing into our goals. Because the more we can allocate, the more of this time, attention, energy we can allocate to working, to exercising, to eating clean, to things that are moving us towards our goals, the more progress we're going to make. The higher our dopamine levels are going to be, the more energy we're going to have, the more time we're going to have, the longer term we're going to think, the more disciplined we're going to become. If you can almost completely sever this so that you exclusively have your time, attention, energy flowing into your goal, you're probably going to win. You're probably going to end up like this person, okay? That's likely. And you're probably thinking to me, well, that seems like a lot of sacrifice. No shit. If you want to be the best in the world, you're going to have to sacrifice something. Do you think Messi is thinking, yeah, I want to be the best player in the world, but I also really like playing Call of Duty, and I don't want to sacrifice that? Or, I want to be the best player in the world, but I really like McDonald's. I don't really want to sacrifice that. You can't afford to do that. If Messi wants to be the best, which he does, think about how much this guy's had to sacrifice, okay? You don't get to these positions without sacrificing something. Now, I'm not saying you have to sacrifice everything and become the best in the world, but you have to understand the difference between these two people, okay, is that this person was willing to sacrifice more and take more action. This person wasn't willing to sacrifice anything, and they took zero action. Their time, energy, and attention was flooding all into this stuff. And that's how you end up where you are. That's how you end up saying, I'm lazy but ambitious. No, you're just like everyone else, okay? If you really want to be exceptional, you have to be the exception. You have to be willing to sacrifice things that people are unwilling to sacrifice. Now, you don't have to sacrifice everything, but you have to sacrifice something. That was the end of this video. If you liked the video, then please like and subscribe. Otherwise, I am looking forward to seeing you on the next video. Cheers.